Homelessness and mental health, breaking the cycle and building compassion. Homelessness and mental health, how to break it and create a more compassionate society. Homelessness is a complex and multifaceted issue that affects millions of people around the world. Unfortunately, there are many myths and misconceptions that prevent us from understanding the realities and challenges of those who experience homelessness. In this post, I will address some of the common questions and myths about homelessness, and provide some facts and insights to help us become more aware and compassionate. Homelessness is the condition of not having a regular or adequate place to live. It can take different forms, such as sleeping on the streets, staying in shelters or temporary accommodation, couch surfing, or living in overcrowded or unsuitable housing. Homelessness can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, ethnicity, or background. It is difficult to estimate the exact number of people who are homeless in the world, as different countries have different definitions and methods of counting homelessness. However, according to the United Nations, there are at least 100 million people who are homeless globally, and more than 1.6 billion people who lack adequate housing. In some countries, such as Australia, the UK, and Canada, homelessness has been increasing in recent years, due to factors such as the lack of affordable housing, poverty, unemployment, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Why do people become homeless? There is no single cause of homelessness. People become homeless for a variety of reasons, often due to a combination of personal and structural factors. Some of the personal factors that can contribute to homelessness include family breakdown or domestic violence, mental health problems or substance abuse, physical illness or disability, loss of income or employment, lack of social support or networks. Some of the structural factors that can contribute to homelessness include the shortage of affordable and accessible housing, the inadequacy of social welfare systems, the discrimination and stigma faced by marginalized groups, the impact of economic crises or natural disasters. What are the myths about homelessness? There are many myths and stereotypes that people believe about homelessness. These myths can be harmful as they create barriers to understanding and addressing the issue of homelessness. Some of the common myths are: myth, people choose to be homeless. Fact, no one chooses to be homeless. Homelessness is often the result of circumstances beyond one's control, such as eviction, abuse, trauma, or illness. People who experience homelessness often face multiple challenges that make it difficult to maintain or access housing. For example, many people who experience homelessness struggle with mental illnesses or addictions, which can affect their ability to cope with daily life. Many people who experience homelessness also face discrimination and harassment from society, which can further isolate them and limit their opportunities. Myth, people experiencing homelessness are lazy. Fact, people experiencing homelessness are not lazy. They are often working hard to survive and improve their situation. Many people who experience homelessness are actively looking for work or education, but face barriers such as lack of skills, qualifications, references, or transportation. Some people who experience homelessness are already employed, but do not earn enough to afford housing. Many people who experience homelessness also spend a lot of time and energy looking for food, shelter, healthcare, and other basic needs. Myth, all people who experience homelessness are addicts. Fact, not all people who experience homelessness have substance abuse problems. While some people who experience homelessness may use drugs or alcohol as a way of coping with their situation, many do not. Substance abuse is not a cause of homelessness, but rather a consequence or a symptom of other underlying issues, such as trauma, PTSD, mental illness, or poverty. Myth, people experiencing homelessness should just find a job. Finding a job is not a simple solution for people experiencing homelessness. Many people who experience homelessness face various obstacles that make it hard to find or keep a job. Even if they do find a job, it may not be enough to lift them out of homelessness. Myth, there are plenty of adequate services and supports to help those experiencing homelessness. Fact, the services and supports available for people experiencing homelessness are often insufficient or inappropriate for their needs. Many services and supports focus on providing temporary relief rather than long-term solutions for homelessness. For example, shelters and food banks may offer emergency assistance for people experiencing homelessness, but they do not address the root causes or prevent future episodes of homelessness. Myth, Property values will go down if we let homeless shelters into our neighborhoods. Fact: there is no evidence to support this myth. In fact, research has shown that homeless shelters do not have a negative impact on property values or neighborhood safety. On the contrary, homeless shelters can have positive effects on the community, such as reducing street homelessness, improving social inclusion, and creating opportunities for civic engagement. Homeless shelters are not a threat to the neighborhood, but rather a valuable resource for addressing a social problem. How can we help end homelessness? Ending homelessness is not an impossible task. It requires a collective effort from all sectors of society, including governments, service providers, businesses, communities, and individuals. Some of the ways that we can help end homelessness are: advocate for policies and programs that address the causes and solutions of homelessness, such as increasing the supply of affordable and accessible housing, enhancing the income and social security of low-income households, providing adequate and holistic healthcare and support services, and promoting human rights and social justice for all. Educate ourselves and others about the realities and challenges of homelessness, and challenge the myths and stereotypes that perpetuate stigma and discrimination. We can learn more about homelessness by reading books, articles, reports, or blogs, watching documentaries, films, or videos, listening to podcasts, radio shows, or interviews, or attending events, workshops, or webinars. Support or volunteer for organizations that work to prevent or end homelessness, such as Crisis UK, Shelter, Homeless Link, or the Big Issue Foundation. We can donate money, goods, or time to these organizations, or participate in their campaigns, activities, or events. Be kind and respectful to people who experience homelessness. We can acknowledge their presence, offer a smile or a greeting, have a conversation with them, or ask them how we can help. We can also avoid using derogatory or dehumanizing language when referring to people who experience homelessness. We can remember that they are people just like us, with hopes, dreams, strengths, and challenges. Homelessness and mental health are closely intertwined, and each can worsen the other. People who experience homelessness are more likely to suffer from mental health problems, such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, or substance abuse disorders. These mental health problems can make it harder for them to find and keep housing, access services and supports, and cope with the challenges and stressors of their situation. The relationship between homelessness and mental health is not only causal, but also cyclical. This means that once a person becomes homeless or develops a mental health problem, they may enter a vicious cycle that is hard to break. For example, a person who becomes homeless may experience trauma, isolation, violence, or abuse, which can trigger or worsen their mental health problems. Their mental health problems may then affect their ability to secure housing, employment, or income, which can prolong or deepen their homelessness. This cycle can continue indefinitely, unless there is an intervention that addresses both the housing and the mental health needs of the person. Therefore, it is essential to adopt a holistic and integrated approach to ending homelessness and improving mental health. This approach should recognize the complex and interrelated factors that contribute to both issues and provide appropriate and tailored solutions that meet the needs of each individual. Some of the elements of this approach are: this is a model that prioritizes providing permanent and affordable housing to people experiencing homelessness without requiring them to meet any preconditions, such as sobriety or treatment compliance. Housing First is based on the principle that housing is a human right and a foundation for recovery. By providing people with a safe and stable place to live, Housing First can reduce the stress and trauma associated with homelessness, improve their physical and mental health outcomes, and increase their access to other services and supports. This is a framework that acknowledges the prevalence and impact of trauma among people experiencing homelessness and mental health problems, and aims to create a safe and respectful environment that fosters healing and recovery. Trauma-informed care is based on the principles of safety, trustworthiness, choice, collaboration, and empowerment. By applying these principles in all aspects of service delivery, trauma-informed care can reduce the risk of re-traumatization, enhance the quality of care, and promote positive outcomes for people experiencing homelessness and mental health problems. This is a form of mutual aid that involves people with lived experience of homelessness and/or mental health problems, providing people with lived experience of homelessness and/or mental health problems, providing. Homelessness and mental health are two of the most pressing and interrelated social issues of our time. They affect millions of people around the world and have profound implications for their well-being, dignity, and human rights. By working together and taking action, we can create a more inclusive and compassionate society for all. By Lena Kravitz.